Joe Higgins.
Minister, can I put it to you, first of all, that any progress on the privatisation of state-owned assets means assets owned by the people is not something to be pleased about in whatsoever. Can I ask you to recognise that there are serious implications for jobs and the protection of jobs in the privatisation process? In 2009, in an appalling development, 1,300 high-quality aircraft engine maintenance jobs were massacred, mainly at Dublin Airport, when a multinational company, SR Technics, closed down peremptorily. Do you recognise that that happened because of the privatisation of Team Aer Lingus? And do you not recognise that vulture capitalists who will move in to try and take ready-made assets to themselves are only interested in private profit and not in the jobs and security of employment of Irish people or of this country? Can I ask you to recognise that it is repulsive to a majority of people in this country that the Troika, representing the interests of the financial markets and bondholders, would dictate to this state, and that that dictation is acceded to by your government, that our public assets should be sold off in this particular way, rather than developed and invested in to create tens of thousands of jobs, which is a possibility. Lastly, can I ask you, Minister, is it accurate, the report in today's Irish Times, that Troika is demanding that Aer Lingus is totally privatised at the beginning of next year?
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
I know full well for many years Deputy Higgins' view in relation to state industry. I know full well his view in relation to private industry. He regards one as all good and one as all bad. I don't have the same philosophical view. I believe that there is a room for a dynamic state sector that we need to protect and enhance. But not everything in the state sector is by definition good. Neither is everything in the private sector by definition bad. I know in my own constituency, let me give you a concrete example. The state-owned company, the ESB, sold Great Island Power Station to a private company called Endesa. Now, from a mothballed generating station owned by the state, they're now investing loans of €300 million, bringing natural gas into my county for the first time, and the potential of creating lots of jobs. So we want to be smart in terms of utilising the resources we have, looking for the next generation of state companies, including Irish Water, to generate jobs, provide an infrastructure for further jobs. And I think the sale of the BGE generating capacity, as I said, it grew up from a company that was designed to distribute gas, but it built up a generating capacity from wind farms to gas-powered generating stations. I think to sell off the generating element of that company and create real competition with a state company will test the mettle of the ESB, and I think it's well fit for purpose. And I think it will be good for the consumers, both business and private consumers.
Thank you, Minister. I have to call Deputy Higgins briefly.
Minister, do you not realise that this whole preparation has been going on for years for the privatisation of the electricity generation, or so-called competition, has been a farcical joke, where the price of electricity was put up by the regulator so that venture capitalists would be tempted to come into the market, that they might have more profits, in order to create competition? What kind of a joke of a way is that to carry on? Can I ask you, you didn't answer me with regard to Aer Lingus. I'm asking you to say, is this the case that they are pressing for its privatisation? Can I ask you, you haven't done an impact study comparing what jobs could be lost, as in many privatised industries, and what damage done, like the Telecom Éireann privatisation did huge damage to investment potential in this country, as venture capitalists went asset stripping for private profit, and what percentage of funds, if you do sell off, which I will oppose at every hand's turn, what percentage of that is the Troika going to allow to be invested?
Call the Minister. Final reply.
A number of questions. In terms of, there's much of what the Deputy said that I actually agree with. I fundamentally disagreed with the way that Eircom was privatised. It was a strategic company that provided a strategic service, and that's why we're not doing any selling off any of the strategic distribution lines of either gas or electricity in this country, because we're determined as a government not to make those awful mistakes again. In terms of, and I also agree with him in terms of the artificial competition, the notion that energy competition is one state company being forced to keep high prices while another state company takes their business. So that's a nonsense. I agree with you on that. That's why we need to have real competition, where we have a state company unleashed to compete in a real market with, hopefully, an external player who will drive down the cost of energy for all consumers. That's what we want to achieve, not driven by any, captured by an ideology of the past. In terms of Aer Lingus, there is no pressure on us in terms of the sale deadline for Aer Lingus or anything else, because I made it clear, in terms of any state asset we sell, we'll only sell it, and this is true also of BGE, if there is a fair market price for it. And if circumstances are not opportune when we get to the market, that will be my recommendation, and that will be the government's view.
Thank you, Minister. We'll now go on to other questions. Same time limits